I want to go ahead and build Banjo Kazooie as a playable characters in Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to be using the new 2024 stuff. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe or like or hit the notification bell. Anything to interact with this video lets the algorithm know you like D&D related stuff or just Banjo Kazooie stuff. Now let's go ahead and start with the species, because we need to be playing as a more anthropomorphic bear. And unfortunately, there's no bears that you can play as, but you can play as a bugbear. So that's what we're going to go with for the species. This gives you long limbs, so you can actually reach out for melee attacks 5 feet further than most others. You get powerful build, so it increases your carrying capacity as if you're one size larger, which is great because you're going to be carrying Kazooie on your back all the time. You get sneaky, giving you proficiency in the stealth skill, and you get surprise attack, giving you an extra 2d6 damage if you're attacking somebody that hasn't taken a turn in combat yet. As far as the background, I'm trying to stick with some of the new backgrounds, and I couldn't find anything that fit super well, so I'm actually going to go with Farmer. This gives us proficiency in animal handling and nature, which fits pretty well, and it gives us the feat Tough, giving us an extra 2 hit points of health per level of this overall build. It also allows us to boost up our strength, constitution, and wisdom by 1 point each. And speaking of those stats, we're going to have a point spread that looks like this. Then I want to go ahead and dive into the class, and we're going to be going with a Ranger. I'm really liking the improvements to the Ranger in 2024. This gives us proficiency with light armor, medium armor, and shields. I know that Banjo isn't usually wearing any armor, but we're going to pretend that his backpack and whatever can be light or medium armor. We also get proficiency in 3 skills, so we're going to grab athletics, perception, and survival. You also get proficiency with pretty much all weapons, and we're going to be playing with this idea a bit, because we want to make sure any ranged weapons can be replacing our egg. So if you want to throw out a dagger, we can do that. If you want to go ahead and shoot a longbow, we can do that too. At first level of Ranger, you get Favored Enemy, and this allows you to have Hunter's Mark ready all the time, and you can get some free castings of it per long rest. Also at first level of Ranger, you get some Weapon Mastery. So we're going to go ahead and take the longbow and the dagger. The longbow gets the Weapon Mastery feature Slow. So if you hit somebody with an attack from your longbow, you can wind up reducing their speed by 10 feet. Dagger, on the other hand, gets the Weapon Mastery Nick. So you can actually do a bonus action offhand attack, but instead of using your bonus action, you can actually do it as part of your action, meaning that you get 2 attacks right away as part of your action. And this is going to be very key very soon. Additionally, at first level of Ranger, you get some spell casting. And all of the spells that matter the most for replicating Banjo Kazooie's abilities are all in the first level of their spell casting. There's going to be plenty more spells I throw up on the character sheet up on Patreon, but the ones that I really want to emphasize are going to happen right now. First, there's going to be things like Animal Friendship or Beast Bond, because you have a special bond with Kazooie who hangs out in your backpack. You want Jump for when you have Kazooie help launch you into the air. And you also want Long Strider when you hop backwards and have Kazooie's long legs run really fast. Then the last one is when you have Kazooie have its wings sort of cover you and you can barrel through somebody, which is a very notable ability, especially in Super Smash Bros. So to replicate that, we're going to take Zephyr Strike, and that covers pretty much everything we need from the first level. However, we will definitely fill it out a bit more on Patreon. Then at second level of Ranger, you get a fighting style. And we're going to go ahead and take the fighting style, Unarmed Fighting, because we're focusing a little more on strength for this build. We can still use our daggers with our strength throwing them out. And you do tend to do some clobbering, so I wanted to make sure we use our strength for our unarmed attacks. Now the Unarmed Strikes fighting style does allow us to do unarmed strikes while dealing 1d6 plus our strength modifier, or 1d8 if you're not wielding anything in either of your hands. It also gives you some additional bonuses to grappling. Then at level 3 of Ranger, you get a Ranger subclass, and we're going to choose what used to be super terrible and definitely got a few improvements, the Beastmaster Ranger. So now you can actually have Kazooie helping you out a bit more. This allows you to choose a primal companion to aid you. This can be either a companion of the sky, the land, or the sea. We're going to choose the sky because Kazooie's a bird, and the companion of the sky gets flyby, so it can actually hit somebody and not provoke an opportunity attack as it gets away. And it gets Beast Strike, which it can only do if you spend your bonus action to activate it. So usually it's just going to take the dodge action or just try and stay out of the combat. But if you use your bonus action on this creature, it'll actually do an attack. So the fact that you can wind up already doing 2 attacks as your action, which we're going to pretend is you shooting out the eggs, yeah, you can still use the bonus action to do actual attacks with the bird itself. That means that you already have 3 attacks at level 3. At 4th level of Ranger, you get an ability score improvement, so we're going to boost up our strength so we can punch a little harder. At 5th level of Ranger, you get extra attacks, so you can attack twice per action, or 3 times if you're using the Nick Weapon Mastery feature. Then at 6th level of Ranger, you get Roving, boosting up your movement speed by 10 feet, while also giving you a swimming and climbing speed equal to your walking speed. So having Kazooie pop its legs out and run really fast is just that much more effective, especially with Long Strider. Then at 7th level of Ranger, you get exceptional training from being a Beast Master. So now when you command your beast to make an action, you can also use that same bonus action of yours to command it to take the dash, disengage, or hide action, or it can even use the help action if you want it to. And it can do that using its bonus action, meaning that now you can have it attack as its action and do additional stuff as its bonus action, so it can wind up doing the help action, giving somebody else advantage. On top of all that, any attacks that your creature does happens to also be able to do either its normal damage or force damage. Then at 8th level of Ranger, you get another ability score improvement, so we're going to go ahead and boost up our strength. Then at 9th level of Ranger, you get expertise in 2 more skills, so we're going to boost up our perception and our animal handling. At 10th level of Ranger, you get tireless, allowing you to reduce a level of exhaustion as a short rest, or you can gain some temporary hit points. At 11th level of Ranger, from being a Beastmaster, you get Bestial Fury. So when you command Kazooie to make an attack, it can now make 2 attacks as part of its action, meaning that you get a total of 5 attacks. So you can attack 3 times with the Nick feature, and then you can use your bonus action to command your creature to attack twice. Then on top of all that, this feature also makes it so if you have your Hunter's Mark active, the first attack that your creature does can also benefit from that extra damage from the Hunter's Mark. So you can apply Hunter's Mark to all 3 of your attacks and 1 of Kazooie's attacks. Then at 12th level of Ranger, you get another ability score improvement. So let's go ahead and boost up our Wisdom, because that's going to help Kazooie a ton. At 13th level of Ranger, you get Relentless Hunter. So now you can't lose concentration on your Hunter's Mark from taking any damage. At 14th level of Ranger, you get Nature's Veil, so you can turn invisible for a turn. At 15th level of Ranger, you get Share Spells. So if you cast a spell targeting yourself, it can also target your primal companion at the same time. At 16th level of Ranger, you get another ability score improvement, so we're going to go ahead and boost up our Wisdom by 2 more points. At 17th level of Ranger, you get Precise Hunter, so you can have advantage on any creature under the effect of your Hunter's Mark spell. 18th level of Ranger gives you Feral Senses, so you have Blind Sight to a range of 30 feet. And then one of the reasons I didn't do any multi-classing is because I really wanted the 19th level feature, which is an epic boon. I've been wanting to play around with these epic boons in the 2024 Player's Handbook, and we're going to take the boon of Irresistible Offense. So this would boost our strength or dexterity score by 1 point and have some other bonus effects. But the problem with that is that our strength score is already maxed out, and there's not really a great way for us to distribute the points in a different way that would be beneficial to us. So it's going to kind of go to waste, because we're still going to enhance our strength score, even though it's going to literally do nothing, because it's just boosting it to 21, and we can only really benefit from 20. But one of the other big downsides to having the unarmed fighting style is that you don't get magical attacks when you swing with your punches like a monk would. And this epic boon allows you to ignore common resistances to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. So now if you're punching somebody that's resistant to damage from normal type attacks, now you can overcome that resistance. Additionally, thanks to us focusing on strength, despite the fact that it's going to do pretty much nothing, you also get the feature Overwhelming Strike as part of this feat. So now if you score a crit with any attack, you can actually deal an additional damage equal to the modifier that you improved, which is our strength modifier. Then there's no point multiclassing at this point, so we're just going to take 1 more level in Ranger, and we're going to get Foe Slayer. So now our Hunter's Mark damage boosts from a D6 to a D10, which really adds up a lot when we're using a primal companion. I've kind of been waiting for an improvement to the Beastmaster Ranger for a long time just for this build, but I'm curious what anybody else would do to try and build Banjo Kazooie. So let me know in the comments down below, and if you want access to the character sheet for this build, including all the spells that I chose, feel free to check out my Patreon, linked in the description down below.